Okay, let's unpack this a bit. You reach for a handful of mixed nuts, thinking, yeah, this is healthy, right?
Right, doing something good for your heart.
Exactly. But what if maybe some of those nuts, the ones we assume are heart healthy, could actually be, I don't know, a bit detrimental? Especially, as we get older.
That's a really, really good point. And it's something people don't always consider. Uh, we tend to lump all nuts together.
Yeah, nuts are good, full stop.
But when you dig a little deeper, especially if you're, say, over 60, the details really start to matter. The nuances are important.
Totally. It seems like how we eat nuts and which specific ones we choose, well, it can have a surprisingly big impact as the years add up.
Oh, absolutely.
I was looking into some recent findings.
hmm
It seems it's not just that you eat nuts, but the way you eat them, that can be, well, potentially life-changing for seniors with heart concerns.
It really can be. We're talking about things that can genuinely support healthier blood pressure.
Better circulation.
Yeah, improve circulation and maybe even, lowering the risk for serious issues like stroke.
Wow. Hey, if you're finding this interesting already, maybe give us a quick like or hit subscribe so you catch our future deep dives.
Good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, the flip side is also true. The wrong kinds of nuts, or maybe nuts prepared in certain ways, they could be working against you without you even realizing it.
Okay, so that's what we're diving into today. We want to figure out which nuts are the real champions for heart health, especially after 60. The ones that help with blood pressure, circulation.
And we'll also point out some of those sneakier ones that might be doing more harm than good.
And stick around because later on we're going to talk about a really common mistake people make with nut butters. It might surprise you.
It's definitely worth knowing. And it all becomes more critical as we age, doesn't it? Our bodies change.
How so?
Well, for instance, our blood vessels might become a bit less flexible. Managing cholesterol often gets trickier, and things like low-grade inflammation can be sort of silently damaging arteries. So every food choice just carries a little more weight,
That makes sense. But the good news is the right nuts have amazing potential.
Oh, absolutely. They're packed with fiber, vitamin E, L-arginine for blood flow.
And those healthy fats we hear so much about.
Yep, the ones that can help lower that LDL, the bad cholesterol, improve blood flow, and reduce inflammation system-wide.
But then there's that flip side you mentioned.
Exactly, the processed stuff. Nut products loaded with added salt or maybe refined oils that aren't great for us, even hidden sugars.
It kind of cancels out the benefits, doesn't it?
It really can. Which leads us to the big question.
What is the number one nut for heart health, especially for seniors?
Okay, well, if I had to pick one real standout, I'd probably point to walnuts.
Walnuts. Okay, describe them for us, heart health-wise.
Well, think about their texture, kind of buttery. A nice little crunch, but not too hard, usually easy to chew. And that flavor, sort of warm and earthy.
I like walnuts. So what's the magic ingredient for the heart?
The big thing is their omega-3 fatty acid content. Specifically ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. They're one of the best plant sources.
Yeah, omega-3s, they're good for inflammation. Right.
Exactly. They help reduce inflammation in blood vessels, which helps circulation. Plus, they can support healthier triglyceride levels, which is another important heart marker.
Okay, that sounds pretty powerful. I think I read about a study on this.
You probably did. There was a significant Harvard study, actually. It found that seniors eating just a small handful of walnuts, maybe 5 times a week, had a notably lower risk of cardiovascular disease.
5 times a week.
And also, importantly, a lower risk of dying from heart-related causes. That's pretty compelling stuff.
Wow, okay. That's significant. What else makes walnuts so good?
Yeah.
Besides the omega-3s.
Well, they also have plant sterols. These are compounds that can actually help block your body from absorbing cholesterol from your food.
Interesting, like little bodyguards for your arteries.
Sort of. Plus, they've got fiber, which is great for reducing arterial plaque buildup, and antioxidants that help fight cellular aging, including in the heart.
So a real powerhouse. Do you need to eat a ton of them?
Nope, that's the good news. Just about 1 ounce a day seems to do the trick. That's roughly maybe 7 walnut halves.
7 halves, totally doable. Now, you mentioned how we eat them matters. Raw versus roasted, what's the deal?
Yes. This is key. Roasting, especially at high temperatures, and particularly if oil is used, can damage those delicate omega-3 fats.
Oh, so you lose some of the main benefit.
You can, yes. And then if I add salt or sugar during roasting, well, you're kind of negating the whole point, aren't you?
Right, so best choices.
Go for raw walnuts or maybe dry roasted ones. That means no added oils. Check the ingredient list if you see stuff like canola oil, cottonseed oil, or just seasoning blend, maybe put it back.
Simple enough. Raw or dry roasted, no extras. Got it. Okay, walnuts are top tier. What's another good one?
Let's talk almonds, probably the most common nut people reach for.
True, they're everywhere. Why are they good for the heart?
They're really high in monounsaturated fats. Think olive oil, that kind of healthy fat.
Ah, the Mediterranean diet connection.
Exactly. Those fats help lower the LDL, the bad cholesterol, and can even raise the HDL, the good kind.
Okay, so good for cholesterol balance. Anything else?
Yes, magnesium. Almonds are a great source, and magnesium is really important for regulating blood pressure and helping maintain a normal heart rhythm. Many older adults don't get quite enough.
Cholesterol and blood pressure support, that's a double win.
It is. And another bonus with almonds, they're quite filling. A small portion, say 12 to 14 almonds, can really help curb cravings for less healthy snacks later.
That makes sense. Fewer chips, fewer cookies, better for the heart overall.
Precisely. But just like walnuts, watch out for the processed versions.
Like the honey roasted ones.
Exactly. Honey roasted, chocolate covered, those smokehouse flavored ones.
Mm.
They often pile on sugar, unhealthy fats, artificial preservatives, and tons of sodium.
So they undo the good work again.
Pretty much. A good rule of thumb for almonds. If it crunches and sparkles like candy, it's probably not your best bet.
Okay. So stick to.
Raw, dry roasted, or maybe lightly salted if you need a little flavor. But definitely check for no added sugar.
Okay. Now let's get to that one we teased. Peanut butter. A staple in so many kitchens. Good or bad?
Peanut butter. It's such a comfort food, isn't it? Brings back memories. Convenient, too.
Totally. But you mentioned an uncomfortable truth. Lay it on us.
The reality is most commercial peanut butters, the big mainstream brands, have quite a bit of added sugar, hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils.
Trans fats.
Sometimes, yes. Partially hydrogenated oils are trans fats, and they're really bad news for cholesterol. They raise the bad LDL and lure the good HDL. Plus, there's often a lot of extra sodium.
Yikes. So that everyday staple might be working against heart health.
It really could be, especially if you eat it regularly. Now, the good news is natural nut butters are a different story.
What makes them different?
The ingredient list. Natural peanut butter, or even better, natural almond or walnut butter, should ideally just contain the nuts and maybe a little salt. That's it.
No added sugars, no weird oils.
Exactly. So you get the healthy fats, the fiber, the protein, without the stuff that promotes inflammation and messes with your cholesterol.
So reading the label is absolutely key here.
Crucial. Look for minimal ingredients. And here's a tip. If the oil separates and you have to stir it in, that's usually a good sign. It means they haven't added stabilizers like hydrogenated oils.
Okay. Don't fear the stir. Good tip. All right, moving on. Any other underrated nuts we should know about?
Let's talk pistachios. Often overlooked, but really great. And hey, if you're finding this useful, why not give us a quick like? It helps others find this info too.
Pistachios. I love the green color. What's their heart superpower?
They are packed with potassium. Potassium is fantastic because it helps your body balance out sodium, which directly helps lower blood pressure. Really important for many seniors.
Okay, blood pressure helper. What else?
They also have those phytosterols we mentioned with walnuts. Remember, they help block cholesterol absorption in your gut.
So another one helping with both blood pressure and cholesterol.
You got it. There was even a clinical trial showing seniors who ate pistachios daily saw improvements in vascular function, basically, how flexible and healthy their blood vessels were.
That's fantastic. Keeping blood vessels flexible is key as we age.
It really is. And here's a neat side benefit. Eating pistachios in the shell.
Why is that good?
It slows you down. The physical act of cracking them open makes you eat more mindfully, gives your brain time to register fullness. It can help prevent overeating.
Built-in portion control. Clever. Any downsides to pistachios?
Just the usual suspects, the flavored ones. Salt and vinegar, barbecue, all those.
Yeah.
They tend to be loaded with sodium and artificial stuff.
So stick to plain again.
Unsalted, preferably in shell, is usually best. And keep it to a small handful, around an ounce, like the other nuts.
Got it. Okay, one more exotic one you mentioned. Brazil nuts. From the Amazon.
Yes, those big, smooth, sort of crescent-shaped ones. You often see one or two in a mixed nut container.
Right, the giants of the nut world. What's special about them?
Selenium. They are incredibly, uniquely high in selenium. It's a mineral that's vital for thyroid function and acts as a powerful antioxidant, reducing inflammation.
And that helps the heart how?
That antioxidant action and inflammation reduction is good for overall cardiovascular health. Some studies suggest just one Brazil nut a day might help improve cholesterol levels because of that selenium power.
Just one a day. That sounds incredibly easy, but you hinted at a warning.
Yes, and this is really, really important. Do not overdo it with Brazil nuts. Because they are so high in selenium, eating just 3 or 4 nuts can actually push you way over the safe daily upper limit.
Seriously, what happens if you eat too many?
Selenium toxicity is a real thing. Over time, too much can lead to hair loss, brittle nails, fatigue, irritability, and in some cases even heart rhythm problems.
Wow, okay, that's a serious caution. So the advice is,
Strictly limit intake, 1, maybe 2 per day at most. And probably best not to eat them every single day. Rotate them with other nuts to be safe.
okay, duly noted. One is powerful, more is potentially harmful.
Got it. So we've covered the good guys. Let's flip the coin. What are the worst nut habits or types of nuts for senior heart health?
Right, let's talk about the offenders. First up, candied nuts. You know, the kind you see especially around holidays. Sugar-coated pecans, glazed almonds, chocolate peanuts.
Oh yeah, those smell amazing but sound dangerous.
They can be a triple threat, really. Loads of added sugar, often roasted in unhealthy vegetable oils that promote inflammation, and usually quite a bit of salt, too.
Sugar, bad fats, salt. Not a winning combo.
Definitely not. Consistently eating those contributes to chronic inflammation, can mess with your blood sugar and insulin sensitivity, and push up blood pressure.
So not just an innocent treat then.
They can actively work against your heart health goals. A simple rule. If it looks and crunches like candy.
It probably acts like candy in your body. Exactly. Now what about just plain old salted nuts, even without sugar?
Yeah, like in those big cans of mixed nuts.
Precisely. Even unsweetened varieties can be absolutely loaded with sodium. For anyone managing high blood pressure, this is a major issue.
How much sodium are we talking?
Well, the American Heart Association recommends older adults aim for no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day. Just 1 ounce, a small handful of some heavily salted nuts, can pack over 200 milligrams.
Wow, that's a big chunk of your daily limit in just a tiny snack.
It adds up incredibly fast. So, the defense here.
Read the label.
Always look for unsalted or lightly salted, and be wary of long ingredient lists with lots of flavorings. That often means hidden sodium.
Okay, so to recap the main culprits. Candied, chocolate-covered, heavily flavored nuts, nuts with added oils or preservatives, heavily salted nuts.
And those standard commercial nut butters with the added sugar and hydrogenated oils.
Right, that covers a lot of common snacks. If you've learned something new here, maybe hit that like button.
Definitely. And hey, if you recognize some of these in your own pantry, don't feel bad. It's just information. Now you know, and you can make different choices going forward.
It's about small changes, right? Not a total overhaul overnight.
Exactly. Simple swaps. Instead of the sugary trail mix, grab some raw walnuts. Instead of the regular peanut butter, try a natural almond butter on your apple slices.
And those small swaps can lead to real benefit.
Absolutely. You might start to feel fuller longer. Maybe notice your blood pressure numbers stabilizing. Get better cholesterol results at your next checkup. That always feels good.
Okay, so bring it all home. What's the simplest strategy for choosing heart-smart nuts?
Keep it simple. Aim for single ingredient nuts. Check that label. Ideally, it should just say walnuts or almonds or pistachios. Maybe salt if it's lightly salted. Avoid the long lists.
And remind us of that all-star team again.
Sure, walnuts for the omega-3s and sterols. Almonds for monounsaturated fats and magnesium. Pistachios for potassium and phytosterols, and maybe some raw pecans in moderation for antioxidants.
Mix them up during the week.
Great idea. Keeps it interesting and gives you a range of nutrients. Maybe keep a small jar of mixed raw nuts on the counter. Make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Good tip. But portion size still matters, right? Even with the healthy ones.
Oh, definitely. Nuts are nutrient-dense but also calorie-dense. A little goes a long way. A small palmful is a good visual guide for a daily serving.
Can you give specific amounts again?
Sure. Roughly about 1 ounce total. So maybe 7 walnut halves or 12-14 almonds or around 40 shelled pistachios. For nut butter, stick to 1 or 2 tablespoons a day.
Okay, palmful, or the specific counts. Helpful. Does it matter when we eat them?
It might. Having nuts with breakfast, like an oatmeal or as a mid-afternoon snack, seems beneficial. It can help stabilize blood sugar and energy levels.
Better than reaching for something sugary mid-afternoon.
Exactly. Probably best to avoid heavily salted nuts late at night, though, as that sodium hit isn't ideal before bed, especially for blood pressure. But really, consistency matters more than perfect timing.
And watch out for sneaky sources of unhealthy nuts.
Yes, those sneaky saboteurs. Trail mixes with M&Ms or yogurt-covered raisins. Energy bars coated in something sugary but called nut butter. Cafe muffins that look healthy but are loaded with sugar and sodium despite having nuts.
Prepackaged seasoned nuts, too.
Yeah, those powders can be full of junk. Basically, if it comes in a crinkly package with a long, complicated ingredient list, be skeptical. Stick to whole, real foods as much as possible.
I bet a lot of people listening are thinking about their own situation. Maybe blood pressure is a concern, or their doctor mentioned cholesterol or heart disease runs in the family.
And those are valid concerns. But the message here is one of empowerment, really. You have control. Small, consistent changes like swapping your usual snack for a handful of raw almonds genuinely add up.
It's about protecting your health, your independence, your peace of mind.
Beautifully put. It's taking positive steps towards lowering your risk, aiming for healthier blood pressure, better cholesterol, all good things.
So the final takeaway?
Take a look in your pantry. Maybe stock up on some raw or dry roasted walnuts, almonds, pistachios. Be mindful of those candied or heavily salted ones. Double check your nut butter labels.
It sounds like a simple, pretty affordable way to give your heart some extra support, especially after 60.
It really is. Your heart health is just so vital. We hope this deep dive gave you some practical tips. If it did, please hit that like button. It helps us out.
And for more helpful insights on staying healthy and active as you age, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for joining us.